Alright, so guys, Morphologis made a really good video about stuff that's happening right now within the Star Citizen sphere. You know, like, there is the Foundation Festival happening at the moment, which is this annual thing. It's really cool. It kind of drives new players to be able to not only just come in for the free fly, but also it makes older players come in for rewards and stuff for helping people. You get skins and you get items and rewards for helping new players go through different things, and I think that the Foundation Festival in and of itself has been structured amazingly, and you love to see it. But there is something going on right now, and before I could go on to it, I wanted Morphologis here with his video to basically talk about it, and we'll go through it together because I think it's a very important thing for us to look at, and it's just one of those things where, again, Star Citizen, it needs to be put in check sometimes. Because obviously the sky is the limit for the game and what they want to do, and because they don't have like a publisher and stuff like that, they kind of like they will do things, and if they don't work, then they'll stop doing them. If they do work, they'll go with it. But this is one of those things that kind of makes it very hard for you as a player to be able to like go, hey, get Star Citizen, because when it comes down to it, like, it just kind of feels like the marketing is disjointed from the game itself. But anyway, Morphologis.
So I was browsing the website for the new Foundation Festival that's going on right now, which is a free fly event that gets veteran players involved, helping out new players for some in-game rewards, and I found this little gem buried in the sale page for the event. It's called the Ready for Anything Career Kit, and it's on sale for $10. And it's all personal item gear, not a ship, just stuff that your player wears. And it really rubbed me the wrong way. Now, if you guys have watched my channel for a while, you'll know that I'm generally very positive about CIG. Contrary to what some of the super white knights in the community might say, the majority of the videos that I've made here on this channel are pretty positive about Star Citizen.
Yeah, I mean, in any community, you're gonna have people who are like really just strongly, who feel strongly one way or another. And sadly, like, it does manifest in what he called white knights, who will jump to the defense of Star Citizen even when it's just like, hey, this is a credible, issue here. And I guess, part of that's because when you have a lot of reach, any bit of negativity is gonna like, catch like a, kindling sometimes. But yeah, what Star Citizen has done here by selling these in-game things for $10 in the store, it feels in such bad faith, because it's one of those things that, like, it's not a spaceship, it's not a game package or anything like that. It is something that you can go into the game right now and earn in mere minutes, you know what I mean? And then they're charging brand new players $10 for the opportunity of doing this, and then dying and realizing that stuff they were wearing, well, they don't have it anymore. I think that it is in such bad faith. And obviously everything that they do in that store, the gear that they sell, all this stuff is subject to change. We don't know how much a full set of Venture Voyager gear or MacFlex gear, or whatever else the heck it is, we don't know how much all that stuff is going to cost in the game going forwards in the future. It might be a lot longer. When 2.x was out, you had to spend $1 million UEC to buy full heavy armor. I hope that comes back at some point. But the thing is that, like, that whole journey, that progression to getting those things, to get the 1 million to earn that armor in the first place, all gets flushed down the drain when you can just sell it for $10 anyway. I think that this is a big issue for many reasons. But anyway.
And CIG, because I genuinely love the project and I want to see it succeed. But when there's a problem, I have the philosophy of calling it out, because you can't get better from people constantly telling you you're amazing.
You need to call it out.
Everybody makes mistakes, and in my opinion, this is one of the worst that they've made in recent history.
It's huge, and I feel for Morphologis for the fact that he feels like he has to put this preface out here saying, yeah, like, I want to call CIG out, but I only mean it in love, guys. Please don't hate me. I mean, like, it's sad that communities in general, when they are as fervent as the SC one, you kind of need to tell them this. But the guys who will hate you because you're pointing this out will still hate you. You can't argue them out of it.
Now, yes, they've sold a lot of things on the website, and they're well known for selling what's commonly referred to as, somewhat comically, macro transactions, ships that can cost upwards of $2,500 US.
The macroest of transactions.
Packages that can go for $40K plus. So spending gobloads of money from anywhere from a set of armor all the way up to a massive ship is nothing new for people who are familiar with Star Citizen. So then you might ask, why on earth would you be upset about this little package for 10 bucks?
Well, I mean, so, but is it the same as an XP booster in other games? What about the Pokemon Radius boosters in Pokemon Go? Well, here's the thing. Those games are released. They're done. They're one and done. You know what you're buying, you know? And just because they exist doesn't necessarily mean that Star Citizen has to follow suit, especially when they don't necessarily have to follow suit at all because of their whole, you know, how they're structured, how they get their revenue in the first place. They don't need to, like, follow those same things and be as, you know, like these mobile games tend to be. It's just one of those things. They just don't have to, you know?
This little kit to get people started. Here's what makes me upset about this. This is geared towards new players, and the way that it's written together here is marketed very much towards somebody who is excited about getting into the game and wants the chance to kind of experience a little bit of everything in their first experience with Star Citizen. The problem is that these new players aren't going to know that this type of gear, the stuff that you wear on your body, is stuff that you lose if you die.
It's not just stuff that you lose when you die, but at the same time, the stuff you're purchasing on that website isn't unique. As far as I've seen so far, you know, like, I don't know if this video will show it, but let's go ahead and let's check here, I think. Yeah, so it's not just that ready for anything career pack, but they're doing a cargo career kit, they're doing a salvage career kit, a mining career kit, you know, a medical career kit. Let's have a look and see what's inside this medical career kit real quick. Like, what does it come with? It comes with a paramed device, it comes with a helmet, it comes with the, you know, like the full Orc Mark 10 armor set and a backpack. How is this a medical career kit when all it does is come with a paramed device that's 450 odd UEC? I don't understand this, man. I don't get it. It just, like, so what, it doesn't even come with, like, the ammo for it either? You don't even get a couple of that? I mean, it's not pay to win, but at the same time, it's like, this isn't the medical gameplay. This is, I mean, you have the pistol. Okay, great. What are you going to be doing in game with that? Like, how are you going to facilitate, you know, medical gameplay with that? You know what I mean? Obviously, like, you still need the ship for it and that kind of thing, but it's like such a small part of the puzzle as well that it seems so weird to, like, to cut it up and put it there. It's like, you know, for instance, the salvage career kit. I mean, with mining, you can argue, okay, well, there are nodes and stuff around the place in caves, and you can do that, and that backpack will give you some stuff, but I don't like it regardless. But, like, you know, with the salvage career kit, what is it? It is basically what you have with the mining kit. However, you also have a, the Pyrorite multi-tool with a Cambriolite SRT attachment. Okay, great. I don't understand it, man. Like, all the armor that you have here, in general, you have, like, the Odyssey, you have, like, the Odyssey Mark II, like, gear, the helmet, the undersuit, or whatever. Like, you have the backpack, obviously, but aside from just going out and selling the backpack, all this other stuff, you know, to make it worthwhile, doesn't make any sense to me. It just feels like a cash grab, and I think that's exactly what it is. I think that, like, when they, I kind of saw this coming when last year they decided to sell the Red Alert, outfits and stuff with DefenseCon. You know, like, selling full sets of heavy armor, you know, light armor and medium armor in all the different and rare styles, including the Quirinax Artemex style, including, like, you know, the, whatever the heck it's called now, the Morozov style and stuff like that, for $90 or 90 pounds as it is here right now. I mean, like, it's a very slippery slope doing this as well, because we don't necessarily know where armor and stuff is going to be going in the future of the game. You know, it's supposed to be able to do things like wear and tear and break down and get destroyed. What happens if this stuff gets destroyed? Also, you know, like heavy armor right now doesn't necessarily do much from medium armor except for, you know, soak more damage. But in the future, it'll do things like be able to withstand more elemental damage, more wear and tear, more acid, all that kind of stuff as well. Environmental hazards will be different. Heavy armor is supposed to be able to charge your items and stuff like that because it has its own power, power source. You know, that stuff that's planned for the future. Selling these things outright to the player in the store gets in the way of people just playing the game. And you can argue that, like, okay, sure, but it's paying for convenience to not have to do that in the first place, and that's fine. But when you market it and target it towards new players like so for this amount of money, it doesn't make any sense to me. It feels like the marketing team is out of touch with the game itself, where the game is, and what people need for the game right now. I'm just sad in general that FPS gear at all is in the market. I was okay with, like, you know, the Tevran gear and stuff like that because it was interesting and different and it didn't really do anything for you. You know, like even the Xian armor doesn't actually have any armor benefits and stuff. It just looks cool. But this sets a really bad precedent. You can argue that, like, you know, we had the sub-flare stuff before, you know, like the Venture Voyager stuff, like the red one and the purple one that you got after being a subscriber over 4 months. Personally, I feel like that's a bit different just because, like, that was subscriber flare, which has always been, you know, like spoken of as you're not paying for the subscriber flare. Although you can, because of course you can. You're not paying for the sub flare, but if you subscribe and you're supporting CIG, they give you these things. And Venture Voyager light armor is light armor, right? This is different, you know, and this is directed to players differently as well. This isn't, oh, hey, here is, like, you know, a nice little change to what you already have or whatever like that. This is, hey, these are full sets of armor, and they're for this very specific thing in the game. I just don't like that it's being targeted to new players. Because old hats, you know, like myself and some of you guys watching, will be like, yeah, okay, fine, whatever. But for new people who don't know that when you die, you lose everything, I don't like that at all. And obviously, yeah, you can say that, like, you know, hey, with things that are bought and they're attributed to your account, they're not necessarily lost forever. But we don't really know. CIG has very, very tactically not put down in black and white. You know, like, they haven't put down in black and white what happens with insurance, what kind of insurance things there are, what happens when you lose things, and that kind of thing. They've been very, 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 like, quiet on very specific things. And, you know, like Ben Lesnick, who nobody has, apart from his tweets and stuff, nobody has heard him speak officially for Star Citizen for like maybe 4 years now, was the last person to speak about what happens when things that are account bound are lost. And when he said that, that wasn't even in an official channel. We have no idea. So I just don't like that new players are being bumbled about like this. Personally, I don't get the anger people are having for this. They've been selling armored weapons and multi-tools. If people don't like it, don't buy it. If that crosses a line for some, SC might not be for... come on, don't be like that. That is such a bad faith take, Azrael. I thought you were different than that, man. I understand that the needs for kiosks to buy back these items, my humble opinion, that's fair, but that's such a bad faith take, you know? You know, like, Star Citizen might not be for you if you don't want to buy stuff. Bro, come on. What? Anyway, like, I don't get that take. You know, that's like, you know, you've gone all the way to the other side where it's like, I don't understand why anybody's saying anything at all about this game. You know, you've gone from, like, you know, we're having a level discussion to, like, being like what Morphologis called a white knight, where it's like, if you don't like it, get away. I don't get that, you know? You can have these conversations, but the big thing here is that, sure, yes, they've been selling weapon and armor and multi-tools. They haven't necessarily been selling these things, by the way. Those things have been added part and piece, you know, to, like, you know, those things have been added to ship sales and that kind of thing. You know what I mean? And yeah, sure, it's similar, but it's not exactly the same. They've never necessarily been sold on their own. But the big thing here, and my takeaway and my point for this, is the fact that they're shoving this on new players. There's a big difference, you know, like between, like, okay, this $250 vehicle or whatever like that comes with this and may have this, or a sub flare, which explicitly is like, oh, here is a thing that you now have that's attributed to your account that you're not buying, but you're being given it, it's different from this, which is, hey, buy this thing, And there are a lot of sub-flare items out there that I don't personally agree with, okay? There's some really cool things out there, like you have the hanger flare and stuff like that. You have, the Big Benny's machine. You have, those plants and things and the Taketsu models. Those things are amazing. Personally, those things are awesome. But I have never liked it. Like, whose idea was it to give everybody who is a subscriber a GP33 mod grenade launcher, the most broken weapon in the game? What? Like, that throws all balance out of the entire game. That means anybody who was a subscriber that year, or who now goes to the sub store and buys that thing, go to any MMO. What MMO gives a level 1 player, right, like a level 60 weapon that can decimate every single person in the press of a button? The only reason that weapon worked for me was that, okay, in the alpha, it's there, it's broken, it's blowing people up, fine. It's an alpha. They can just make it rare. They can make it so that the ammo and stuff is rare, or the upkeep for it is expensive. And all of a sudden that balances itself out. Hopefully in the future they can make it so that these sub-flare items are just skins and you can apply it to the item once you get the item. Because otherwise, from a balance perspective, it's broken and it's just as out of touch as all this stuff too. How is it a bad take when I'm saying why anger yourself for a video game? Because it's not just the video game. It's the money involved with the video game. If you get me. And it's not even a video game that's out yet. It's something that people have put their time and money, both the developers and ourselves, to get this thing out. Put yourself in the shoes of the developer who's like, who really is into this game, who wants to make this game, and who is passionate for what Star Citizen can be. And then they see them trying to nickel and dime new players like this with bad faith things like this, like these store items. How would you feel now thinking that, oh, this is the game that I'm making? Whose decision in marketing is this? I'm sure there are lots of people in CIG who feel as icky as I do about this. This is worth talking about, and I don't get why some people don't think it is. They gave everyone an FS9 too for the holiday thing. It doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, it's weird. It feels out of touch. It really does, because now it's in somebody else's hands to try and balance it when the game comes out. Because if everybody has an FS9 ballistic LMG and a grenade launcher, then how is the game going to work? How is it going to be balanced? Especially when Death of a Spaceman is a thing and that kind of thing as well. But yeah, taking your anger too far. Well, nobody should be taking the there's somebody who sent a SWAT team to Ubisoft Montreal. Nobody should be going there, but everybody has a right to be incensed when something like this happens. Everybody has a right to say what they like and what they don't like. Obviously, if you take that across the line, well, you're an idiot. You're a chucklefuck. What are you doing? But I'm not doing that. I'm just speaking a bit louder because I feel passionate about this. I'm trying to get all my points out without writing a script. I'm just talking about the issues, and I think people should be able to do that. But yeah, obviously, if you're going beyond that, if there's threats of violence, if there are death threats and that kind of thing, yeah, maybe perhaps you should sit down, uninstall, and I don't know, touch a potted plant, maybe go outside and touch grass. I don't know, whatever the memes are. But yeah. Do we even have balance anyway? So many things broken? Well, that's fine. That's fair. There isn't really that much balance because we're not even in beta. That's another argument, sure. However, when you go ahead and you compound the issue by selling items like this to people who now have these items tied to their accounts, you now make the issue of untangling that mess so much more difficult. Do you understand that? Do you get that? I know your statement wasn't meant for me, Azriel. I know. But I'm just saying, I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm playing both sides. I'm talking about what's here. But yeah, hey Salem, welcome. Catch 22 CIG needs constant funding for the game. True. However, there are 100 different things they could have possibly done before doing this. Don't ask me what they are. I am not in marketing. I am not being paid 40 grand a year to come up with this. But I am sure that there are much better things that they could have thought about doing before even thinking about this. Because this is out of touch with where the alpha is right now. This could be a thing when the game is live and you know what's going on with these items, and you can, in good faith say what will happen to the gear, or like what, like how exactly one thing is a starter kit for a particular gameplay loop. But until that point, what are you doing? Anyway, I think we were watching a video, so let's continue with it,
Even if it's something you've paid for. Now, CIG have talked about for years how they're going to introduce some sort of system to allow you to get this stuff back. And in the interim, database resets have been how people have gotten their gear back, or by playing the CCU game where they melt their stuff and then get it back, which is really not a game mechanic, but a sort of janky workaround to fix the problem that new players are just not going to understand or care about. So then this method of getting it back in-game doesn't yet exist. If players lose it, they lose it effectively for good. So what I know is inevitably going to happen with a new player buying this kit along with their starter ship is that they're going to die in the first hour or less playing the game and not really understand why this gear disappeared. And really, how can you expect new players to even know that starting off? The game is already difficult to understand, but the industry standard in general has always been that if you pay real money for stuff, you don't lose it. And in fact, in some...
And that's a good point. And I think it really can take... Like, the takeaway here is that the marketing is out of touch, Because all this is going to do... Let's say, like, I am a brand new player to Star Citizen, and I have purchased this. I have my ship, I have this armor, and I go out and I blow up in my first bounty mission, or I get shot dead in my first, like, what is it, like, cargo retrieval mission that has those nine-tail, like, guys laying about the place, I go out, I get shot, I wake up, I claim my vehicle, I get my Aurora back, I check my inventory, and my starter kit I paid 10 quid for is not there anymore. How am I gonna feel about this game? I just blew 10 pounds on this thing. I don't have it anymore. Okay? Like, just, I know you can go to Spectrum, go to Reddit, ask people, but knee jerk, right there and then, in game, what just happened? I've wasted 10 pounds, or I've wasted $10 or whatever, Like, it is incredibly out of touch with where the game is right now, and should not full stop have been done. Yes, it's Foundation Festival season or whatever, and yes, you're trying to get new people into the game, and yes, you're trying to, maybe perhaps get some more money out of them than just the, the $45 for an Aurora. But was this the right way to do it? I wouldn't say so. What would I have done differently? I don't really know. If I was adamant that I wanted to sell armor to them, at the very least make it unique, At the very least make it Foundation Festival colored and maybe make one armor set out of it. Instead of saying, oh, here are 5 different armor sets, for armor that exists in the game today, And then making them feel like, oh, well, okay, I'm going to get myself an Aurora and I'm going to get these 5 armor sets and feel pressured to buy 5 armor sets. So now I haven't spent $45 for this spaceship. I've now spent $100 because I wanted the items too, and because I'm brand new to the game. I didn't know that these things were in the first store in, like, Lorville. I think people are blowing this way out of proportion, trying to forget about people's expectations and instead blame it on CAG. They haven't lost anything. The items will come back. Well, that's the thing. That is not explicitly clear, Raga. That is not explicitly clear. Think of it from the shoes of somebody brand new. Not you, not me, who know Star Citizen, right? Who know how the game works. Think of it from a brand new player. They don't know this. They don't know that account resetting might bring their stuff back if account resetting isn't disabled because, you're in a free fly week. A brand new player will see this, and then might not ever play the game again because they feel like, oh, my friend told me Star Citizen was a scam. They were right. I just got scammed out of $10. Not everybody will think that way. Some might go to Spectrum. Some might go to Reddit. But none of this is conveyed in game. And that's the big issue. That's the message. That's the takeaway here for me, at least anyway. I don't like that they're selling the armor. And I spoke a lot about them selling the armor. But really, it's just a massive, massive disconnect between marketing and the game itself. For now, items come back after a new patch, which can be however long. True. But again, a brand new player doesn't know this. To a brand new player, it's all gone, you know?
Countries.
A simple disclaimer, anything at all would suffice. But I mean, let's go back, maybe perhaps, and have a look and see if that's the case. Is there a disclaimer? Because again, if there's not, marketing is out of touch. And that is the big takeaway here. Marketing needs to level up. Okay, so let's see. This is the Combat Career Kit. Combat Career Kit. Everything you need to kickstart your exploits in professional violence, including a full set of armor and undersuit, a P4AR Night Stalker rifle, and a classic Gemini L86 sidearm. Okay, all right. So just a whole bunch of things you can get in game. And then Star Citizen Alpha 3.19 is currently available to download and play. Additional features and updates will be released as they are developed. This is not a game package. Please note a game package is required to play. Nowhere in here does it say that what you're buying here will go. You know what I mean? There's nothing there. The game package doesn't tell us that we need a spacesuit. If not, then the player will think that we need to buy one. I mean, yeah, the game package doesn't do that either, to be fair. Yeah, the game package doesn't. Plus, I do believe that a brand new player will spawn in an Odyssey Mark II armor a set anyway, helmet included. So it's not like you needed this stuff in the first place to get into your spaceship and do anything, you know? And then, like, oh, you still don't have a weapon, but you still have the 5,000 UEC if you use somebody's code to buy yourself a weapon. So the whole thing is just, yeah, a disclaimer would be nice. The issue remains there needs to be a place in game to get the items back. I agree 100%. They literally have, right? They literally have in ArcCorp a kiosk for Voyager Direct, or sorry, for Spectrum even. Right? Like, they could easily do this, and I believe that they've even spoken about doing this. Like, 3 years ago, whenever Reputation was released, they said that, well, it's a simple, like, you know, if and yes thing, you know, like, where if you're subscribed, maybe perhaps now you have this Reputation, well, you know, subscriber, you can now go to this thing and get your item back. And, you know, like, I think games like, there was this Monster Hunter style game that was released, I think it was called Dauntless or something, that did just this, you know? Like, it's not that hard to do, I'd imagine. And when I say not that hard, I mean, like, you know, I'm not a game developer, you know what I mean? But, like, vendors in the game exist, you know? Kiosks in the game exist. Another kiosk isn't gonna kill a dev, you know what I mean? It's been a massive, long-standing issue. And it's one that should have been resolved before they did this. You're right about that. 100%.
It's illegal to sell items that can be lost for real money in a video game, which is something that CIG is eventually going to have to address if they're not sued before they do. So in an ironic twist, what CIG's marketing
The only caveat here is the fact that, like, you know, once you die, I mean, once you can account reset and get the thing back, it's not gone forever. There is recourse. But the recourses are hard to get to, and that's the big issue.
Have actually done is created an item that's only going to create more animosity towards CIG for not just nickel and diming new players for kit that should probably just be available to anybody who takes the new player tutorial, but for the fact that they can just lose it immediately upon death, which happens again extremely frequently. I mean, who is a new player to Star Citizen hasn't flown their ship too fast in atmosphere and smashed into the ground, or accidentally fallen through an elevator, or, I don't know, gotten shot by an NPC when they didn't expect it? I mean, anybody who's played Star Citizen for like an hour will know that Star Citizen is very volatile to the new player, and death is extremely likely, if not
dying in SC is just part of playing SC. That's it, really.
Guaranteed. So this has got me thinking that whoever's responsible for this, the idea is maybe it was marketing, has no idea what's going on, and it's to the detriment of the game. So if you want Star Citizen to succeed, this is definitely something that I think shouldn't be supported.
And I hate pointing a finger at like some invisible person and calling them marketing. We have no idea who this person is, or if it's a team, or if it's somebody who didn't even want to do it, but whoever conceived this idea did not cook it through, is all I'm saying.
At least not until there's a solution. What I think they should have done instead, which would have been a great gesture of goodwill towards new players and just people who've played the game in general, was, like I said, to add this into the new player tutorial as a reward, so that new players starting out get a little bit of everything so they can get started with some really basic kit.
They could have done this, but I mean, like, they wouldn't make any money doing that, would they?
That they're likely going to lose anyway within the first hour of play. But instead, someone over at CIG saw this as a monetization opportunity and just made things worse. I really hope that CIG, before monetizing things, can also consider how it can be a goodwill gesture to improve the general gameplay experience for everybody.
To be fair, I don't believe that the new player experience tutorial that they just released is in a good state to be able to give new players this gear for free, because it doesn't really cover enough stuff. They wanted to do here's like a free set of like mining armor, this, that, the other armor. I agree with Morphologis. There should be a way when you start SC to go on one of these tangents and get that armor, but it's not there yet. And I don't know when it's gonna be able to be, but it's definitely not there yet.
This was one of those times where they failed that test. If at some point in the future they do have some kind of system in game, say something like insurance, where you get your gear back for a lifetime if you've bought this gear on the website for real money, then I'll say, okay, this starter kit's fine. But
right.
For the time being, this being aimed towards new players was a really bad idea, and CIG should take this off the website right away and really seriously rethink who's making decisions over at marketing, so they stop making decisions that make them look even worse.
Like, Morphologis here is literally saying, fire this dude. I mean, I don't agree with making the guy lose their job, but they need to be sat down and spoken to if they can be, if this isn't like a super top level decision here. But my God, I hope it's not, because like that would mean that whoever is making a top level decision doesn't know how the game works. Who is out of touch with the game itself. That's setting a whole bad precedent there for the game itself, man.
Look, I very rarely get upset about things. The last time I did, it was for a certain ship, and it got me in hot water with a portion of the community. But sometimes I think things just need to be said. I found that the best way to get somebody to change is not to continue to enable their bad behavior, but to speak honestly with them in the hopes that they'll listen to you at some point and improve and turn over a new leaf.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Morphologis has done this in this video with the caveat of saying that they don't deserve their job, But yeah, like in not too strong words, but yeah, I agree, Svein. It's so silly to put so many items in the game for sale, especially when you can get them in game. Like ships are a different thing because that's the monetization process for Star Citizen. It is selling these ships and these pledge ships and these concepts and that kind of thing. But yeah, like there is a limit, there is a line, and I feel like they've been gradually trying to cross this line and see what they can do, because hey, I mean, the marketing team are going to be getting, handshakes and backpats for, for making more money than they did last year. So in that quest to make more money than last year, which is what companies do, they cross that line too much, and now hopefully they'll reel back from it. Now sadly, they haven't just pulled down this from the website. You know what I mean? Morphologis made this video, I think 2 days ago. It's been in discourse right now for a bit. They've had that opportunity to go, maybe perhaps this wasn't a good idea. They've had the opportunity to make a statement about it, and they've not done anything. They've just decided to go quiet. I understand why, with a game like SC, which is constantly being called a scam by people, less so now today than in years prior. This is one of those things that could easily make people who think it's a scam go, see what I said? See what I said? I was right. Look how they're nickel and diming new players. It's so bad in so many different ways. Staff at CIG follow leadership, and if someone above says do this, then they better do it. Exactly, Nemesis. Exactly. Which is why, you know, like I'm saying I hope that's not the case, you know?
But who knows, maybe I'm just speaking into the ether and nothing's gonna happen and we're just gonna keep going down this path of poor monetization decisions with no consideration for gameplay.
I don't think anything's gonna be happening today about these stupid things that they decide to release. Hopefully, at the end of Foundation Festival, they will stop selling them. Hopefully, at the end of Foundation, they will no longer be an option to buy. That is, I think, the best case scenario. Them just pulling them away now, after Morphologis made this video, might maybe perhaps give Morphologis too much credibility, and they wouldn't want to give him that for whatever reason. You know, they don't want like the fans to go, oh, YouTubers can boss them around. However, this isn't a good idea. This isn't a good decision. So hopefully they stop selling them at the end of Foundation, because it's a Foundation promotion. And then they decide to tangent themselves differently. That's the best case scenario. Worst case scenario is they keep them in the store and they do more stuff like this in the future, making it so that you don't need to play Star Citizen. You could just buy Star Citizen in the store and then have everything necessary for, like that you would have had to grind for in the first place and not have to do it. I don't know, man. Like, for me, playing the game is part of the game. It's not just having the victory screen, you know?
But I really hope that that's not going to be the case. These monetization decisions have far-reaching consequences, not just for turning people away from Star Citizen, but in my view, create more complications for the future of the game. Specifically, how fair the game's going to be towards people with different levels of income. I would absolutely hate for this to become something like Diablo, where you have to spend gob tons of money in order to just be competitive. Yeah,
I mean, an anecdote here is Diablo Immortal, not Diablo 4, but I think what he means here is Diablo Immortal, and there are definitely guilds in Diablo Immortal to this day that they will check to see how much you're spending, and if you're not spending enough that week, they will kick you from the guild, okay? They will kick you from the guild because you're not gonna be competitive with them anymore. You're gonna be lower tier, you're gonna be trash, and they will kick you because you're not spending money. Like, that's not the devs doing this. That is the toxic behavior of these guys who, more power to them. They can spend their money wherever they want, right? But that's just a culture that exists in games that do this sort of thing.
Get them back through some kind of insurance? Is it just going to make it so that people who've spent real money...
Oops.
Think about it. How is this going to work in the future with these types of kits when you can get them back through some kind of insurance? Is it just going to make it so that people who've spent real money never have to worry about consequences, where they can just walk into any kind of fight and not worry about the fact that they'll lose everything, whereas the regular player who spent $45 has to worry constantly about paying for their kit one?
Yeah, I mean, again, I understand about paying for convenience. Time is money. Not everybody has the time necessary to be able to get things and grind for things, but at the same time, there is a definite discrepancy here, and it's that with a game like Star Citizen that's so broad and so open, like doing more things like this is definitely going to make it so that you'll feel pressured to have to spend money. Otherwise, you're not going to have a good experience with the game. It already takes so long to be able to get ready in the game. Like the startup and downtime phase of Star Citizen, equipping things and that kind of thing already takes so long, they could easily, because of the way the game is, structure in such a way that they could monetize the fact that the game does not respect your time. But I hope they don't.
Once again, when they die, that's not fair. That's not going to make the game fun, for me at least. I know some people will get some enjoyment over lording their income over others, but I certainly don't get that enjoyment, and I'm somebody who spent over $10,000 in the game. Granted, I'm a content creator, but maybe that's just an excuse. But I'm going to wrap up here because this has already gone longer than I expected. I'm not saying that CIG needs to stop monetizing ships or selling items.
No.
It's how they get their funding. It's how the game that we love is going to get made. All I'm saying is that somebody needs to make more careful decisions about what they sell and what those implications are going to be, because right now it just seems like whoever's making some of these decisions isn't thinking about it at all.
Out of touch.
What do you guys
Simple.
think? Do you agree with my points or do you disagree? Let me know down in the comment section below, and also let me know what you think they should do with some of the stuff in the future to make it a more fair game for everybody. I've been Morphologis. Hope to see you guys in the next one.
Yeah, it's a huge point there. I mean, the Morphologist made a whole bunch of really good points at the same time there, you know, like about the fact that this is not necessarily in good faith when it comes down to like, you know, being in touch with the game. You know, like this is just somebody in marketing who has decided to do this without necessarily knowing how it'll impact the game. But also, in general, Star Citizen is not designed to respect your time in any way, shape, or form. I mean, like, regardless of like, you know, actually having the gear, like missions, like to go and get a box from somewhere, you quantum travel somewhere. Quantum travel alone can take like upwards of 5 minutes if you don't have a good enough quantum drive. And then once you get there, to get to a place without like, you know, cutting off your engines and stuff, which CIG, or at least, you know, like the Bug Smasher Mark 8 said is, you know, like not intended, like you have to like then fly another like 300 like kilometers or like 300 seconds or whatever it is to get somewhere else. The game doesn't respect your time. And then when you die, you have to do it all over again. And so like if you have these options to like, you know, just buy 10 of these armor kits so you never have to buy an armor kit ever again, like it's a bit crazy, man. It's a bit weird. Games in general aren't designed to respect your time. They're designed to suck you in and keep you there. I mean, that's true. That is true. But there are levels to this. I hope you can agree with me with that. That there are levels to it, right? Anyway, that was Morphologis' video, guys, on the topic. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please, if you did, do so. Do what, Meyer? Please follow him, like, you know, subscribe to him on YouTube and all that stuff, and like the video, because, like, without his input, I wouldn't have known about this Foundation Festival stuff, so I want to thank him for that personally. But yeah.